to the best games of 2023, which is a list and one that I really did have a hard time with, and I needed some help with producer Tyler to try to figure out what it is I like here. So we're going to go number 5, and we're going to move up to 1. So let's get started with number 5, Ohio State 17-14 win against Notre Dame, what I'm calling down a man, because stakes in this one were tremendous, right? We at the time thought that one of these two teams was going to be in the college football playoff and had every opportunity to do it had they kept winning football games, because this one was so huge for them. Ohio State got the win against Notre Dame last season. They got to go to South Bend this season, and Notre Dame is feeling themselves because they got a great quarterback. They got a great run game. They know what their identity is going to be offensively and expect to be better defensively. And that's what it was. It was a defensive battle for most of the way. Travion Henderson had a home run that he took all the way to the house that proved to be the separator for Ohio State in this game, but not until late, because we got down to 3 seconds left to play. It's 3rd and goal. Ohio State has the rock. They are down 14-10, and we saw a number of errors. The first was Notre Dame sent out 10 men. Okay, that's one. But then Ryan Day, not seeing that they sent out 10 men and just running the play, subbed out Travion Henderson for Chip Trayanum. Chip Trayanum comes in. Notre Dame does not send out an 11th man, and they run into the end zone to go get the go-ahead score and the win. It is still a play that Marcus Freeman is trying to live down, that he will never live down. There are all sorts of ways that we Monday morning quarterback this thing, like send somebody onto the field, take the penalty if you don't have the timeout, all these different ways that you could have gone about this differently, but you can't, right? And that's one of the reasons this game was so exciting, is the stakes were that high and people were that tight, and yet and still Ohio State came out on top. They rode that into what became one of the great Ohio State-Michigan games of recent memory. That was a top 5 matchup, 2 11-0 programs. That doesn't happen if they don't beat Notre Dame in South Bend. Tremendous win for them and a tremendous game to watch. I was very, very, very fulfilled watching that game, even as I had, skin in the game on both sides. My producer, Tyler, Notre Dame alumnus, I felt for him, if nothing else. Number 4, Alabama's win against, at number 4, Alabama's win against Auburn. What I'm calling, don't fear the Reaper. You 80s babies know Blue Oyster Cult for the kiddos. Just go look it up. I'm saying that because it's the Gravedigger play. This game should not have been as tight as it was, because Auburn ain't nobody. That ain't nobody. That's a 6-6 team. They pushed Georgia, though, which is them basically saying, we'll get up for Georgia and Alabama. Maybe we'll lay down for New Mexico State and get beat by 3 touchdowns. But this game was phenomenal. I mean, we got it down to 4th and 31. There's 43 seconds left on the clock, and Alabama's down 24-20 with the rock. Jalen Milroe gets to drop back. He's looking. He finds Isaiah Bond in the corner of the end zone for what would be the go-ahead score and the play that won them the game. Auburn chose to rush 2 instead of rushing 3 or 4 or even 6, 7, 8 to go after Jalen Milroe. Let him sit back there, bounce his feet, and do what he does well, which is throw the ball deep downfield, not making him throw an intermediate pass at all. They called that play Gravedigger. I think that's both fitting and apt, because if it works, you dug yourself out of the grave. If it doesn't work, you got put in the grave by that play. Either way, outstanding game, got them into a really great position to win the SEC championship the next week. They're coming in on a high. They know they can win this sort of a tight game. They have to do that again against Alabama. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But number 3 on this list, Washington's Week 7 win against Oregon, 36-33. I'm calling that one Lanning's last stand, because as much as that game was exciting on the football field for all of its time, like all 60 minutes, it really came down to Dan Lanning's decision to go for it on 4th down. They get stopped, and they give the ball back to Michael Penix Jr., and that's all he wanted. That's all he wanted. He said, cool, I got Rome Odunze, you don't, and that's what we're going to do. So down 33-29 with just over 2 minutes left to play, Penix has the ball, and he decides, hey, wherever Rome is, that's where I'm going with the football. And that proved to be the correct decision, as they were able to summon a victory against a hated rival to remain undefeated and give themselves an opportunity to not just make the Pac-12 championship game, but to make the college football playoff for the first time since 2016 when Jake Browning was quarterback at Washington, having a hell of a season with the Cincinnati Bengals in Joe Burrow's stead. But Michael Penix Jr. also helps propel himself even further into the Heisman Trophy candidate conversation, finishes number 2 on the year, doubles up Oregon in the Pac-12 championship, basically proving to everybody this is not a fluke. I had so much fun with that game. I have friends on both sides of that rivalry. One of the best games that I think anybody got to see all year, and was tremendously emotional for Washington fans who are now getting to see the absolute diamond that they have in Kalen DeBoer after maybe they didn't feel so great about him in his first season. Now they're like, please don't ever leave us. Number 2 on the list for me, Oklahoma's win against Texas. The Battle of Gabriel, come and take it. That's what I'm calling that one. If you know anything about Texas history and the Battle of Gonzales, you know my allusion there. If you don't, Google it. Now, I think this one is great because this one could have gone Texas' way any way you wanted. Like, they had a lead with just over a minute left to play. They're up 30-27 on a Burt Auburn field goal. They'd already blocked a punt in the end zone to get the score back. It felt like Oklahoma just wasn't going to have it for this after getting beat down 49-0 without Dillon Gabriel on the field. And I say that because Gabriel coming into the game, down 3 with the rock, changed Oklahoma's opportunity. Okay? You're not going to do this with Davis Bevel. You're not going to do this running Wildcat with Braden Willis. You needed a guy that was as capable and as confident running that high-powered, super fast offense to a T. He finished with 285 yards passing, 113 yards on the ground, had a whole bunch of them in that last drive to get Oklahoma into a winning position. As a matter of fact, they're looking at the goal line. I'm going, please play for 3, play for 3, play for 3. Don't throw this. Oh, there's Nick Anderson in the back of the end zone, standing there like he'd been standing there the whole time to catch that pass, cementing what was an emotional win for Oklahoma fans, and really a win that stands above many others because Texas went the rest of the way undefeated and won the Big 12 championship and beat down an Oklahoma State team that beat Oklahoma, frankly. And as much as we would have loved to have seen Oklahoma and Texas one last time in the Big 12 championship, this will have to do. And for me, after watching Oklahoma take the worst loss that I've ever seen Oklahoma take to Texas, 49-0, this was triumphant and fun. I really did gain more respect for Dillon Gabriel than anything else, and really loved this for this group of players who deserved to win that game and played as if they deserved to win that game. Okay, number 1 on the list, Alabama's 27-24 win against Georgia in the SEC championship game, a game I'm calling back to 0. Georgia is back to 0 days without incident. This was tremendous on a number of levels. I got to see coaching chess match. I got to see going into halftime, Kirby Smart call a timeout, force Nick Saban to think about what he's going to do. Nick Saban going in, out with the offense, calling timeout, going, okay, now we see how you're going to line up. What do we want to do here? Tommy Rees putting the ball in Jalen Milroe's hands, going, go win us the football game. Go give us a commanding lead, And then coming back in the second half and doing basically the same thing, telling Jalen Milroe and Isaiah Bond, go win us the football game, right? Knowing that you don't have a Jason McClellan available to you, who is your number 1 tailback. Being able to stop a Georgia team that had won 29 straight and had not lost in an SEC game in some time, right? A team that we had penciled in to the college football playoff and as the number 1 team, because this Alabama team was not the one that we thought would dethrone what had been a juggernaut program in Georgia. Again, I've said it earlier, but I'm going to say it again. Alabama was in a rebuilding year. You got 2 new coordinators. You got a brand new coordinator in Tommy Rees and a somewhat new coordinator in Kevin Steele. You got a dude calling plays for you, Nick Saban, that is younger than I am. And I'm 36 years old. You got a Jalen Milroe who was benched early in the year. You didn't know who your quarterback was going to be. You have to figure this out on the fly. And yet your defense continues to play lights out. You're getting timely play from Isaiah Bond and Jermaine Burton. And you summon an SEC championship at a time when not a whole hell of a lot of people thought that Alabama was capable of doing this in 2023. Phenomenal win for the Tide. Really, for me, further supplanting what I know about Nick Saban. Greatest football coach I've ever seen. Greatest football coach to ever coach. I'll throw him up there with Belichick and Lombardi. What he's been able to do in our sport is just tremendous, especially given that he started coaching in 1971. He's not the guy to moan and complain about name, image, and likeness. He's not the guy to moan and complain about conferences. He's not the guy to moan and complain about conference championships. He's not the guy to moan and complain about what the game has become from an offensive or defensive standpoint through all the rule changes. He continues to win. To win. That is awesome. And this game, I think more than any other game that he has coached in his career, really resonates with me given the context. I love this game. I love that it happened for Saban. I love that it happened for Jalen Milroe. And I love that it happened for Alabama fans, even if I think that they're a little too spoiled with Nick Saban. That said, that's my number one game of the 2023 season. These are my top 5. Let me know what yours are on the tweets, on the YouTubes, on the TikToks, on the Instagrams. We are everywhere you are. If you like what you've seen, consider subscribing to the #1 college football show on YouTube, the Fox Sports app, or wherever you get your podcast.